Thanks for joining us, Trevor. And we also got Terrence, the man Peel. Been an active day for you, Trevor. Terrence,
Yeah.
tell me about that trade, man.
And that was going to be the last question.
That was gonna be the last question. We gotta set it up.
Okay. Yeah, Adam was
news.
shopping, man. Adam was shopping, and Green Machine, man. It was hard. AJ Brown is my boy, but he's good. But Rashad Bateman, I see some rumblings happening in Ravens camp, and they got rid of Hollywood Brown. So, the Rashad Bateman first round, and then I needed to upgrade my tight end a little bit, so I got Dalton Schultz, and he's a little bit more mature, and mature tight ends do well, so that's why I did it. It may end up biting me in the butt, but
And I know you like that 2023 draft, so
that's right.
You got that pick there. So
apparently nobody else does, but I do.
Right? So all right, guys, like I said, we're super excited. The draft happened. This is kind of a post-draft, kind of get some of the thoughts. Trevor, Terrence, you guys were active all day, all 2-3 days. Trevor, I loved your grades that you were giving out to, the teams and everything. I think you're a little hard on yourself this year.
Oh, yeah.
But it's going to be super fun. I already talked about it. It's going to be an awesome year, something that we're looking for. But let's just kind of jump right into it, guys. Like, what was it that kind of stood out to us in this year's draft? Last year we had the initial draft into the Dynasty. We're all new to this. I don't think anybody had a Dynasty draft prior to this, so we're all still kind of learning. So let's just start here with the first topic that we've kind of talked about, amongst ourselves: winners and losers. Who, as far as fantasy owners, who won, who lost, who hurt themselves, Tell me, what do you guys think? Trevor, we'll start with you, man. What do you think?
Honestly, when it comes to when you look at everybody that was picked and when they were picked, you got the most value with this draft. I mean, you threw everything at that first round, and you got 4 really good wide receivers. And none of them are question marks in my mind at this point. There's a lot of potential there. So with that, I think you're set as far as wide receivers are for at least 3 years before you're going to really have to sweat about what to do. So personally, out of that, you definitely won in my book, just purely out of the number of picks you got in that first round.
Okay, I respect that, man. I respect that. What would you say is the loser? Or that didn't set themselves up for the draft. Let's just say that.
Myself, I would definitely go with myself. I honestly, when it finally got to me, I just did not like what I saw on the board. I had a very bad taste of all those remaining players. The only one I should have probably gone for in that second round was McBride. I actually think he's going to be a really good tight end, and he was available, and I just second-guessed myself, so I just threw away the draft pick. And then after that, it was like, well, there's really nobody here in the third round that even comes close to what I had available, so I'm just done. So I just threw it all away. I'm probably going to regret that, especially considering how old my team still is. But I think I did enough in free agency that I think I'll survive.
You'll survive, yeah. Adam I think he has the most players that he needs to cut. He has 7 people he needs to cut. So you said it in today's chat that his team, his people that he's going to cut could beat some of our existing players or team. Maybe that might be true, which is nice. I think me and Jordan last year when we talked about the 20-man roster with the, I know it changed a little bit this year, but the 2 IR slots and the 2 taxi squads. That 20-man active roster gives us enough flexibility to be able to reach into the free agency or the waiver wires and help kind of make our team somewhat competitive throughout the year. I can guarantee there's some third-round players, undrafted rookies that didn't get drafted to teams that are going to pop off and determine how much are we going to spend that fab on. So super excited. All right, Terrence, we'll go to you, man. What did you think? Winners and losers of this draft?
I think the winners, there's quite a few, but I would say it's a tie between the LA Rams, Tom's team, and Eric Los Pollos Hermanos. I think getting Breece Hall, the top RB prospect, is a big deal.
Can't go wrong with that.
Look at the winner last year. Jonathan Taylor was on Jordan's team, mile high, and he crushed it. So, if Breece Hall is anything even close to that, like, Todd Gurley, Ezekiel Elliott, first year kind of guys, he might be in the in the running to win it. Losers, I obviously poor Trevor, but no, I would say
Hey, I deserve it, man. I deserve it.
I would say
Go
the
for it.
winner slash loser. I mean, it could be Antone. He gave up a lot of draft capital to get guys. I know he had a lot of picks left, but I think his draft capital is kind of waning. But like you said, if Jamison Williams, which easily could have been the number one pick this year, I would have loved to have him on my team. Any one of those guys hits it, he can get that draft capital back and rebuild his team. So that's what I would say on winners and losers.
Yeah, and I mean it's still too early, right? I mean, this is our first year. We already talked about that. I mean, there's so much uncertainty with some of these rookies. We just don't know. I was doing a little bit of research prior to talking to you guys today, and probably like a 50% hit ratio. Last year we got Jamar Chase was amazing, Jalen Waddle, Rashard Bateman. I mean, didn't get too much of an opportunity as a number one wide receiver in his own offense. Maybe he might get a standout this year. But I mean, looking at all that group of rookies there, I mean, there's still so much determined. I mean, I don't think we're going to get every year we're going to get Jamar Chase. I mean, last year it was CeeDee Lamb. Correct me if I'm wrong. It was CeeDee Lamb last year. The year before that was Justin Jefferson. So I mean, you never know with some of these guys. I mean, that's one guy out of 10 of us, 10 picks. So yeah, it's going to be super interesting. Terrence, I know you kind of talked about it, the best pick, Breece Hall. Would you say that was the overall best pick, or what would you say was your, in terms of best pick for someone in the draft? What was that?
Man, yeah, Breece Hall was good, but I would say considering there was no QBs in this class that had draft capital, I think Tom taking Pickett was a big deal. I wanted Pickett. I just don't think anybody was willing to reach for him, and Tom, he fell right into Tom's lap. LA Rams, right at the LA Lions, right at the the right time at the 109. So I think that's the best value pick. The Steelers. When's the last time that they drafted a top tier guy like that? And then they got all the weapons, they got the running backs, they got the wide receivers. So I think Pickett, he could be the real deal. I mean, he could bust, so obviously we don't know. But I think that's a really good in a super flex in our league, in a super flex, having a QB. If he just does enough, Mac Jones wise, let's say, you can sell him, he can flip him.
Yep. To that point, small hand Pickett. I mean, that was the biggest thing coming out of college. He had the small hand. So to your point, I agree. I think he was one of the best value picks. He had that overall consensus there as far as getting the people around him, the weapons around him. I know I grabbed George Pickens, but he also has a new wide receiver to work with, Claypool, Deontay Johnson. I think that was the overall best. I don't think Tom could have had it any other way, especially looking at his overall needs. Tom only had, I don't know, obviously Tom took over Daniel's team last year. I don't know how Daniel made it to the championship round with only 2 QBs. That blows my mind. All right, Trevor, we'll skip right on over to the next topic here. Rookie of the year. I mean, who do you see as that one candidate to take it all this year? What do you think?
I'm looking at the list right now of all the guys who were picked up, and the person who's got the best opportunity is probably Watson. And the reason for that is he's got Aaron Rodgers throwing him the ball. Aaron Rodgers already is one of the best quarterbacks that are still in play right now. And so he's going to get every opportunity to become a go-to guy for him. And he's got speed. He's got a lot of talent. So if he capitalizes on that opportunity, he's definitely going to be one of those players we're going to be talking about at the end of the year. I do think Bryce Hall, with the combination, I can't remember the guy's name now, the other young running back out there. Say again?
Michael Carter?
Yes, Carter. I think the tandem between the two of them, I think Hall will end up being your goal line guy. And I think he will get a lot of touches right there at the goal line, maybe get into that high number TDs, which, let's be honest, when it comes to football, TDs is all that really matters. So I could also see him being discussed as a potential rookie of the year as well.
Yeah, Trevor, I respect that, man. I mean, obviously, I was big on Christian Watson. Looking at his tape, I've told you guys a million times that he kind of reminded me of a Deebo Samuel. The only concern that I have with him is if you look at the history, if you believe in history repeating itself, Green Bay, one, they've never picked a wide receiver in the first round. They waited to that second round. But not only did they wait to that second round to pick those wide receivers, you look at Devontae Adams, Jordy Nelson, the greats that followed behind them. It took them about a year or two. Aaron Rodgers quarterbacks a year or two to make an actual fantasy impact or football impact just in general. So it'll be interesting to see. It'll definitely be interesting to see. Last one here, guys. First round, end of second round, bust. Who do you guys see out there? Terrence, we'll start with you. Who do you see as a potential bust? Obviously, again, we don't know, right? We don't know some of these guys, but off the go, what would you say that one player would be?
Man, yeah, I'm just looking at it right now. It's so hard to say. We just don't know. This draft is really interesting, and there's so many good wide receivers. I would just throw it out there. I think maybe Treylon Burks. You know what I mean? I've seen some breakdown of the stuff. They seem to think that he doesn't have very good footwork, and he kind of just bullies cornerbacks, and those kind of things. He is bigger. He is like that AJ Brown, but sometimes that doesn't work in the NFL. And he could easily be the bust this year. Now, does that necessarily mean that his career is over? Absolutely not. But like you said, there's like a 50 some odd percent rate. 50% of the guys are good, the other 50 are not, and we'll see if he's in the good 50 or the bad 50.
And Terrence, I'll get your pick here in a little bit. I mean, excuse me, Trevor, I'll get your pick here in a little bit. But Trevor, what do you think is the definition of a bust? Is it just a first year bust? Like I said, Christian Watson, I mean Devontae Adams, some may have said he was a bust, but didn't break out until year 2 or 3. I mean, what is considered a bust?
Okay, well, as far as a bust, I mean, we've seen so many times where a player comes into the NFL, has a horrible first year, but then ends up becoming a stud. And so can you really say that a 1-year bust is really a bust? And the answer is no. So as far as being a bust, I would have to say overall their career ends up not panning out the way anybody thinks, where you get somebody who comes into the NFL and just they are given the opportunities, but they just don't capitalize on it. And I can't think of anybody off the top of my head at this point, but we've seen it plenty of times in the past where you get a big name.
Can I jump in real quick? The guy I think wide receiver wise is Jalen Reagor. You know what I mean? He was taken before Justin Jefferson, and the Eagles had a lot, but he had a torn labrum, I believe, his rookie season. Didn't really do a lot, so he's hurt. And then the next year, kind of the same, just mumbo jumbo. And then Jalen Hurts, yeah, he's a great fantasy quarterback, but would you say he's a great quarterback to get the ball to your wide receiver? I wouldn't say so.
I hope so.
Yeah, but I think it's really still out on Jalen Reagor as well, because the Eagles still have. I get that they traded for AJ Brown, but he could still, his career could still be reinvigorated. Deebo Samuel is kind of actually a guy that comes out that reinvigorated and became like the top 10 fantasy guy.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think it's hard to quantify what a bust is. Trevor, I didn't get it from you. Who's your bust this year? Do you have a label?
Yeah, actually, it's Matt Carl. I'm sorry, I don't think that guy's going to end up panning out. I think him being drafted in our league was a bit of a reach, in my opinion. I think he should have been somebody picked up after the draft, where you didn't have to actually spend a draft pick on it.
It could be a buzz there. The only thing that I like about Corral is that he did stand out in a small school. Ole Miss is not a huge school. I mean, for Edgar's sake, I do hope he does kill it in the rookie camp, and he's the guy, the go-to guy. There's a lot of guys that we hear. Russell Wilson, nobody thought he was going to be a starter. Small guy, look, he killed it, right? So there's always that room there. But to your point, it may have been a little bit of a reach, but maybe Edgar's onto something, guys. All right, guys, that wraps up our topics here. I know we kind of went a little bit over time. I do appreciate both Terrence and Trevor for you guys joining us, taking your time out of today. I don't know if it's going to be a regular thing, but I'd love to have you guys on again, maybe mid-season, doing, mid-season rankings or something like that. Maybe get a couple more people in here and just kind of see and get that going there. But again, guys, I'd like to thank you for watching. And Terrence and Trevor, again, thanks for buying out your guys' time today and joining us. All right, guys. Until next time.